So we'll be combining minor card that we've been studying last Thursday. We are looking at the Nine of Wands. Combination cards, the Hermit. If you've got the Hermit as a Major Arcana card, combined with the Nine of Wands. People say, how do I fuse the two together? Let's pick a keyword for one of each. And each week I tell you, if you divide your deck into two, shuffle Major Arcana cards and pull one from the top, and the Minor Arcana cards as a separate shuffle, i.e. two different decks, you will get combination. Why? Because pairs work. It makes it really easy because you've got the major card telling you what's going on and the minor card telling you which suit it's in, therefore what's the background effects. When we're in the suit of Wands, it's all about action. So our poor Nine of Wands fellow standing there overburdened. That's one of the key meanings of that card. And the Hermit. What does the Hermit mean? Wisdom, experience, introspection, going within yourself, being alone. But it's also a very big important point is it's a card that's got a past because of the experience of the Hermit. Let's just look at it that he's aged or elderly, and therefore that means he's had a lot of experience. So we relate this to the past. If this came up, we could say something in the past has overburdened you. If this is in a current position, it means this person is still in that place of its actions, because we're in the suit of Wands, so they're still acting as if they're overburdened from things that's happened in the past. If it was in a past position, of course, it's in the past, and once upon a time you were overburdened. But if it's in what's now, what's current, what's going to happen, if you carry on like this, you're going to get more of the same. Something here that's saying, yes, you carried it in from the past. If you're confused, just look out, where is it? If it's a current position now, something from the past that's still with you now. And overburdened, that's one of the key words. Another word for the Nine of Wands could be your experiences from the past. You've overextended yourself. Remember, it's in the current position, you're still acting like that. You haven't stopped doing that. It's action. It's not what you're thinking, it's not what you're feeling, because we are in the element of fire, and fire is all about, element of fire is all about action. Okay? So your actions could be that you've got a whole habit and a whole experience, and you've done this over and over, and you're still doing it, taking on too much. I can't keep talking about it's in the past. Let's look at it that's in the reading, and it's anywhere but in the past. It's either what's happening now, or it's what's going to happen, or what we could get changed. This person's what they're doing physically, i.e. what they're doing in action. What are their actions? What are their emotions? Emotionally, they may just feel compelled to act and take on too much. And they've got a whole history of this. So another word for the past is you've got history, you've got experience. It's something that you've done more than just now. It's not just happened. There's a whole book of this. You've done this forever, ever. Amen. That kind of thing. Another word for the Nine of Wands, or keywords. You've got a whole history here of taking on other people's problems. And then you're overburdened. You see? Which leads to physical exhaustion. Again, whole history of this in the past. You've done it before. You're still doing it. Or, as we said, you're unable to see things clearly because you're physically exhausted. The cards are physical. What we can actually say is there may be some mental stresses going on here. Anybody know why? Why would we say that, even though we are in the suit of wands, which is all about the physical and actions. Why could it relate to the mind? If we look at our card, there is a clue that it's got a bandage on his head. And a bandage on his head would actually tell us that he's probably experiencing too much going on, giving him a headache, or he's not able to think clearly. He may actually feel overwhelmed mentally. So although we've got a physical card, we are being shown something going on with the head, which we must actually say, okay, that's the mental capacity. Yeah, the head. That's exactly what it is. We've said that we are able to look at astrological signs and relate some of those body parts with the astrological sign. So we know that if we look at, shall we say, for example, Aries, it's the head. And the head is, at the moment, I'm just going to talk you through it. We've got the past, and how can it affect us? If it's Aries, it affects the head. And that's because Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. And astrologically speaking, that's the first house. So if we've got the Emperor is the one that astrologically is Aries. Aries deals with matters of the head, all right? And the Emperor is connected with Aries astrologically. And then if we take that on to the Hierophant, that's associated with good old Taurus. So that's Taurus, okay? And that's affected, when it comes to body parts, it connects with the throat, and that's where we can take our stress. So that's the idea. If somebody's Aries, it goes straight to the head. If somebody's Taurus, it goes straight to their throat. Okay, let's do the next one. The Lovers is Gemini. So let's bring that up. And Gemini, let me see. Gemini is the arms and the lungs. Okay, things that are in twos, twins. So the eyes, the arms, the lungs, the ears, but mostly the arms and the lungs. Cancer. Okay, so Cancer is the Chariot. And how does that get affected? It's usually the stomach area, the breast, and the female reproductive organs would be the body parts. Leo, which is Strength card, and body parts for Leo is the upper back and the heart. Back to the Hermit, which is Virgo, and that's the astrological sign. When it comes to Virgo, we're looking at the body parts being the small intestines and the smaller organs. Libra, of course. Let's bring the keyword up for Libra. And Libra is the hips and the kidneys. Somebody asked for this last week, so we are saying that it was interesting because our character's got the bandage on his head and we mentioned Aries. That's the point of doing this. We got the Death card, and the Death card is, of course, Scorpio. So Scorpio, and what do we have with that? This is the large intestine and the genitals. Right, so Scorpio. Our Major Arcana card, of course, is Temperance for Sagittarius, and that's the thighs and the liver. Now, we've got the Devil card, which links with Capricorn, Major Arcana card for Capricorn, and this links to the planet Saturn, and the body part for that is the knees. A saying we often hear is Saturn will bring you to your knees, and it will have you weeping. I say, mercy, please stop. Saturn being one of those harsh planets, there we go. Enough already. It's usually why that's associated with that. Aquarius links with the ankles for Aquarius, right? And last but not least, lovely Pisces, which is the moon. Pisces, Major Arcana card is Pisces. And the body part that goes with that is the feet. Okay, so working almost down, it makes sense really, doesn't it? We go from the top of the body down to the bottom of the body. So we started with Aries with the head, first actual house, goes down to the 12th house, which is the last sign in the zodiac, which is Pisces, and that rests with the feet. So hope that helps everybody. Going back to how to fuse it, what did that have to do with anything? Nothing. We just said we'd cover it. We were talking, it is connected with the head being Aries. Yeah. And you can always rewatch the video, can't you, on the playback or in the podcast, whatever you need to do. Yeah, they're the body parts. Interesting. Let's keep Pisces on the screen and say, if we were looking at this and we were saying, what would this mean as a pair? We know that astrologically it links to Pisces because it's on the screen. But the moon card is what can actually make us feel fearful. And of course, we can actually be in a place where we are using our imagination. That imagination can actually be causing us to not to be able to see clearly. So the key word for the moon that I chose is imagination. Unable to see clearly. Why? Because you're probably physically exhausted. That's the reason why. And unable to see clearly when you are exhausted might mean that your imagination is getting the better of the situation. So you might not know the difference between what's real and what's fantasy. And that's probably because in your imagination, you don't realize that you're overextending your physical self. It's way more than it should be. Yes? We've got to just bear that in mind, everybody. The Nine of Wands is a type of physical exhaustion, plus the bandage on the head we mentioned does affect the mind, the head. And if we are in the world of the moon, our emotions can be affecting our actions because the moon is, of course, linked to our emotions and our imagination. And with the Nine of Wands, they're unable to see clearly due to physical exhaustion. And that is usually a result of emotionally feeling bound to take on other people's problems. And that results in the fact that, quite simply, you're taking on way too much. And remember that this is in a minor arcana, how it's the minor arcana will tell you, because of the suit, what is happening. And we know that the suit is the element of fire. Therefore, the effects, the background effects, are action. So the moon is feeding the overthinking, the emotional, imagination is running away. It could be deluded. Deluded as in, oh gosh, everybody's going to hate me if I don't do it, or everyone's going to love me if I do it. Really, if people are around you and you're doing too much, they're probably just going to say, don't do it. And when you take the notice, they'll stop saying, don't do it, and just let you. And you think they'll really appreciate it. Perhaps, or perhaps they just think you don't have any boundaries and that there's no point. And sometimes people just find that quite boring for somebody to be constantly physically exhausted all the time. You could find yourself wondering why everything that you do for everybody means that they don't really want to be around you. It's probably because you are taking on too much. They feel that you don't have boundaries. They feel that maybe you're complaining, or that you are a bit of a martyr to the cause, or that you're not learning a lesson, or you're so exhausted, you're no fun, or like the moon card, you're not comfortable and they can feel it, or that you are letting your imagination run away with you. And really and truly, it means eluded and deluded. Quite simply, oh, I think this, I feel that. Based on what? Is there any reality? Probably not. When we're coming from a place of exhaustion, it's not a great gauge to make some decisions, is it? Okay, that's that one. And let's just, of course, what is the actual, we were talking about the planets, as in, we know that astrologically the moon card is associated with Pisces. I'll put that on the screen for you tonight. But of course, the moon is also connected to the planet, the moon. So don't forget that one, all right? Let's just have a quick peek at... I'm going to show you a little bit of what my spread looks like, and then I'll come back and do some more cards with you. But I end up not doing this, so I'll go through this. So here we are. Okay, so if you were to actually do my courses, eventually the advanced course would take you to putting a spread out like this. And that's not really your normal sort of spread that you see. You only need one spread, it answers everything. If you look closely, you can see there's a lot of cards there, but we're using pairs for each position. Just take, for example, we've got the Strength card there next to the Ace of Wands, and then you've got, followed by that underneath it, the Fortune, and the Four of Swords, and so on. Every Major Arcana card is out, that's 22, and then there are a variety of what came out of the Minor Arcana. So in this spread, you would be able to look at so many things. So that's what an advanced would actually lead you to do. That's taken a screenshot from my courses, and here are the courses. So let's have a quick look at that, and then we'll be back in a moment. And so I'm back with a different card for you, a different Major Arcana card. So there's a little bit about what you can learn on the courses, and they're all video based, all on my website. They are yours for as long as I'm on the planet. We have the Death card with the Nine of Wands. Now the Death card, key word for that, we'll use the word transformation for the sake of this tutorial. So going through a transformation of what? In action, because we are in the suit of Wands, which is all about action. But we know that one of the key words for the Nine of Wands is taking on other people's problems. So maybe this has come up in the current position, showing this person is going through a transformation and learning boundaries, learning to defend themselves against all the odds. Normally, they're probably somebody that takes on everybody else's problems. So if we look at that and say, okay, that's probably because they've learned the lesson, because they've taken on too much, got physically exhausted, and went, time that this changes. This has got to change. So they're going through a change, but transformation can actually take time. And we only transform when we have learned a lesson. Usually transformation is something has pushed us to go, I just don't want to do that anymore. That's enough. I've had my fill of that, and that is it. I do not want anything more where I am overburdened. So it would suggest that this person is currently in the midst of that. It wouldn't say they've done it unless it was in a past position. Okay, they're still struggling. They're at a 9 as not completion yet. Another word, or we said other people's problems, taking on too much. Physical exhaustion has probably led to the transformation. And the fact that when they were physically exhausted, they just couldn't think straight, couldn't see things clearly at all. When you're coming from a place of exhaustion, it's never a great place. You're just coping, aren't you? That would be the need to change, the need to transform, the need to get some boundaries. I would definitely look at that as putting up some boundaries here. And maybe not doing great. You're already overextended. So the transformation is probably one that takes a lot of practice. Why? Because that person, they're exhausted. They need to be fresh. If you're going to make a transformation, you actually need to be well rested, and you need to be of clear mind. And the bandage suggests that this person is not of clear mind. They'll get there, but we've just got to be patient and not expect miracles to happen all at once really quickly. It's got to be something that's happening slowly, and that we are in respect of the fact that it's probably a clumsy effort, albeit one that they're struggling with. We can tell they're struggling. Nine of Wands. Okay. If you don't know about the Nine of Wands, we did a tutorial there last Thursday. And this Thursday, we will be moving along from the 9 to the 10. Don't miss that one, because that's a really interesting one. And then, of course, next Tuesday, we'll be comparing how to actually use that card with another card next to it and make a combination somewhere along the lines, so that you can see that you will be able to tell the story of the tarot. And that is usually what people don't teach us to do. They go, you've got your card, choose your intuition. That can be really scary. We know that. We've talked about that many a time, being overwhelmed and feeling, yes, I do know the cards, but nobody's shown me how to bring it all together. Nobody's given me the jigsaw puzzle or the template, and that's what the courses do. And what's lovely is you can take it slowly and just do one thing at a time, such as your Major Arcana or Passionate Sagittarius. You're on the court cards at the moment, aren't you? And I believe that she started with Intermediate, and then she did Advanced. And then it was like, actually, I'd like to know a little bit more about the court cards. So that's where she went next. So yeah, that quite often happens when somebody actually just wants to do it their way. And that's what I want you to do. I don't want you to go, no, you must do this first. Do what you want. It doesn't matter. If you do Advanced before Intermediate, it won't make sense because it cuts in halfway through. So it's part 2. Sorry about that, but it's too much to have done it all together. You need time. It's as simple as that. All right. So yeah, and to take it in bite-sized chunks, you can buy the whole lot together if you want to, but then you might just feel that you don't know where to start and be a bit like the Nine of Wands, overwhelmed. But it's up to you. Entirely up to you. I get it. I'm somebody with I know what to talk. And here we go. Let's put some keywords up for the Nine of Wands. And anybody with any questions, now's a good time to ask. Type them. Okay? I'll be back in a moment. So here's a card that I don't normally get round to showing you. I'm not avoiding it. Just we sometimes start off with some of the, like the Fool or the World. And then we go into the difficult ones like the Hierophant or the Devil. And yeah, we've talked about Temperance, of course. So I really wanted to make sure that I did the Hangman with you this evening. Hangman, perspective. If you are somebody that puts yourself up like the Hangman has here on a towel, which is tree shaped like the letter T, and you are dangling upside down, we all think that somebody's done this to him. No, he's probably done this himself. He's quite relaxed. And if we look at the actual shape of that, it's a funny body shape. Look at them. He's not just hanging. It's not like crucifixion. It's not anything that we've seen before. There's a slight deformity to that. All right. But he's also got that halo there. And we've also got the fact that he's looking at the world from a completely different angle. It implies stillness, of course. But when we are still and when we tip our head upside down, we see things from different perspectives. And by hanging around, we've probably not got anyone with us. So this is about introspection again, going within yourself to get a different perspective. But the whole point here is to actually turn things and look at things from a different angle. And so we get perspective. And what's weird here is the Hangman is doing nothing. Yeah, he's still. And then the other card's telling us physical exhaustion. So people say that's two complete opposites. Yes. So what's the message? We feed the energy of the minor card into the major card most of the time. Apart from when we're doing court cards, we're not doing court cards until next year. So let's keep it nice and simple and just go feed the energy of the card on the right into the Hanged Man. So if we feed physical exhaustion into perspective, it's telling us that what we need to do is we need to stop the physical exhaustion. And the only way to gain perspective is to be still. Now, being still, you are stopping. You are going to realize that you're actually burnt out to a crisp. So yeah, we're in a place of physical exhaustion. And we've said that when we are exhausted, we're not able to see clearly. It'd be nice to stop and do nothing and to look at things from a different perspective. And the perspective might be, just by doing nothing, that person realizes possibly that they don't thrive unless they're actually whizzing around. Some people will actually say, I can't rest. If I did, I don't think I'd be here. I'd be bored, I'd be this, I'd be that, possibly. I've had many people say to me, if I stop, no, I can't. I don't want to. I like to keep going. I can understand that. But there are times when people do need to actually stop and look at things differently, and then they can get going again if they really want to. But it doesn't mean it's an excuse not to look at a perspective. And what we could see is the fact that perspective says we're overextending in a certain area. And the hangman would imply that's not going to the self. It's probably going into being overburdened, okay, by taking on other people's problems. Then we might work out, why do we do that? So it might be because we want to be a martyr, it might be because we actually like being busy, it might be because we genuinely want to help, it might be because we want the praise, it might be that we feel it's, if we don't do it, nobody will, or we might actually just be somebody that is being busy with other people so that we don't have to look at what's going on with us. And we don't know, do we? The other cards in the spread would actually explain which of those it might be. It might be more different things, but I've got a short tutorial, I can only cover so much. So we need to know where this is. Is it in the physical? Is it in the spiritual advice? Is it coming up in the mental? Is it in other people's positions that you feel overwhelmed by people, or you don't feel good enough and you just feel you've got to be busy in order to satisfy them? We don't know. We'd need to look at more cards. But sometimes people do take on other people's problems simply because the avoidance of actually looking at ourselves. And so it's easier to deal with someone else's stuff than it is to deal with our own stuff. Might not be that. Might be that we just quite like taking on too much. We thrive on it. But we need to know enough before we go off and do it again. If you really like it, you need to know when to take a break and then get back on and do it again. Or we might actually just need to be able to see that we are really overextending and that something's got to shift or change, and we've got to work out why we're doing that. And if we blame others, then you're at the mercy of other people. You need to be able to take accountability for your own actions. Then you're in control. You're not in any bondage to anybody else. And we know that. Okay, let's have a quick look at, if you do miss anything, that you can watch it on Tuesday podcast. And it looks like this, so just remind you of that. That was Tuesday Tarot Twist podcast, and that's where you can find all the lessons that we've done. I say every week. We began with the Fool, we went through the Major Arcana, and then we started working through the suits. We did the Swords, as you can see there, and then we progressed into the Cups. And from the Cups, we arrived at the Wands, and we're finishing those next week. So that means it'll be taking us into the Pentacle family. And you'll find all of this on my YouTube channel. And the reason I show you that is you don't always want to go back and just go and watch the replay. That's what you want to. Sometimes you might go, oh, I'm looking for this. When did she do that one then? I'd like to know more about this card. The Hierophant's a big one. People like to look at that. And then sometimes it might be, oh no, let's look at the Emperors. Again, changed the card. Major Arcana cards changing all night. And we've got the Devil card. And the Devil is a card of materialism. It's a key word for the Devil card. And it's one of those where you've got to look, so you are unable to see clearly because materialism and the material world has been so stressful, so full on. It's demanded so much of your energy. It's demanded so much of your actions. You might not be able to see because you are so busy. And all fire is action. Fire comes from the fact that we are in the suit of wands. The number 9 is telling us that we're almost at completion, but it's physical energy. So when we're in the element of fire, physical, action, action. So we may be getting physical exhaustion due to the fact that we've got to keep up with the materialism that we've created in our lives. We might have started off and gone, I want to climb the ladder of success, my status and my reputation. And of course, the harder you work, the more we reward ourselves. So therefore, that reward probably has some monetary responsibilities that we've got to pay for that. The more we earn, the more we spoil ourselves, and then it becomes the norm. All of a sudden, we're treating ourselves to a coffee every day. Then it's 2, then it's 3. Instead of just go to the canteen and just have whatever's coming out of the machine. That adds up. If we're doing that every day, week in, week out, and we're saying that we deserve that because we're working really hard and we are physically exhausted. I remember watching The Apprentice, and in the UK, the version was Alan Sugar. A long time ago, I remember him saying to some wannabe apprentice, and of course, they're all talking the talk, aren't they? I'm the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm this and I'm that, and of course, that's what the show's about. But they're also trying to climb the ladder of success. And Alan Sugar said to this one particular person, so you're telling me that you actually worked for 16, 18 hours and this is all you took financially? And he went, yeah, but I worked really hard. And it happened again, same person, following week. And this time it was a lot of money. And it was like, okay, you did really well with that. And it's, yeah, I worked really hard. And he went, yeah, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody that's smart, that doesn't work that hard. And you're working too hard. And that worries me because you're going to burn out. Even the very best of people can turn around and identify that if we are slaving to the point of, I want that recognition, which the Devil card is about our status, our recognition, how people see us. And we think that they'll think they are absolutely marvelous because we are exhausted and we have done everything and anything. And you know what? I couldn't do another thing. It's not always what's impressive. As I said earlier, sometimes when somebody is so tired, there's physical exhaustion, there's burnout, there's unable to see clearly, there's overextending, being overburdened. You might think you're proving something and that it's helping you acquire what you need in this life, i.e. the car, the lifestyle, the coffee, I say that, whatever it is you want to spend your money on. But you deserve it because you're working that hard and you're physically exhausted and my goodness me, you've earned it, and you have. But you don't want to get to that physical exhaustion like that because of materialism, because then you are enslaved to it. You can't get off the treadmill. What can you give up? I can't give up my coffee, as in I won't have my caffeine, I'll be too exhausted, I'll fall asleep. I'm doing 19 hours or something ridiculous. That is what this power is talking about. And the Devil is, we feel bound to do it. And who is the Devil? It's us. We're the one that's actually enslaving ourselves to materialism or to physical exhaustion. Only we have that control. It's nice to blame other people. We all do it. We've all done it. and we will all still continue to do it. But it only changes when we change. When we change, we have the power to be able to say, doesn't matter what they want. I've decided I don't want to do that. They won't like it. They're out of my life then. Oh, but I'm out of a job. There'll be another one. Oh, I'll get behind. Then you know what? We will just have to take it down the fact that I won't need to pay for the coffees, so it'll save money there. I won't need to do this. I won't need to reward myself. We'll just have to take control. But people only get there when they're ready to. They may not be ready to do that. Sometimes we go, I'm better off. I know this. And you know what? I quite like my nice house and my coffee and my nice car. I don't want to give any of that up. Then you're not ready. When it comes to the less I own, the happier I am, then you're ready. But that we are not the same. And materialism can be the biggest reason for this card, the Nine of Wands, physical exhaustion. Of course, Capricorn is the astrological sign for the Devil card. Many different meanings for this, but astrologically, as I said, we can look at the fact that this is Capricorn. I'm going to take that off for a minute and just quickly find that for you. Okay, so astrology, signs, yes, okay. There we go, Capricorn. So yeah, the Devil card is Capricorn. And Capricorn is all about our status and our reputation and how we want to be seen. You know, this is what I achieved in my career. It's also about our ego. We have to have an ego. But if it becomes misplaced because of physical exhaustion, you're taking your eye off the ball, you're being enslaved by the devil. Remember, I always tell you the devil is us. People are always shocked by that. We're our own puppet master. We want to blame our boss for this, that, and the other. You can leave. I can't pay the bills. You can leave when you've paid the bills, but then there'll be this. Then you're not ready. Eventually, the time will come. Okay, here's another one. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune, planet Jupiter. Expansion. All right? Sounds great, doesn't it? Planet of expansion. But what if it's the fact that we're getting more of not being able to see clearly? Wheel of Fortune is a great card, all right? But don't forget about the planet. Great card. Expansion of what? Our work. We'll be working harder, we'll be doing more, we'll be doing this, we'll be doing that. It's wonderful. But it's also talking about, do you want more? Do you want more? Do you want more? So be careful what you do when you've got Jupiter with the Wheel of Fortune, because it is about expansion. That's great, isn't that? But if it's about more work, we don't want to expand on that. Think about it. And people often say, oh, if that falls into a position of it's your body, that will start expanding too. So we can put on weight. So it's what are we doing that causes expansion? And of course, with a Fortune, beautiful card. And the key word that I chose for that one is opportunities. With a Fortune is the opportunities. So you've got the opportunity to look at it and see clearly or not see clearly, whichever the case may be. Any questions, anybody? Does anybody want to ask any questions about what I've said up to now? Okay. Hi there on Twitch. Yeah, we're coming to the end of this, so if I've got no questions, we'll be winding it down. 9 of Wands with the Wheel of Fortune. You are being given the opportunity to decide what it is you want. If you are unable to see clearly, there's got to be a reason for that. And that's probably down to the fact that not being able to see clearly is because you've overextended yourself. So you can't think straight, bandage on the head again. There we go. Why? Because you're overburdened. Who did this? I got the opportunity to do this, that, and the other. You are in charge. Yes, nobody says you throw everything out of the pram and walk away. Sometimes we have to do that, but not all the time, and at the odd time, much better to actually look at the opportunity to not be overburdened, to look at the fact that you won't give up, but that you realize you've been taking on too much, and maybe it's about delegating. And if we delegate, we can look at the fact that we won't be taking on others' problems because we'll be giving them the opportunity to help instead of you helping them. It can't just be a one-way street. Life is not just about give or take. In this case, this is overgiving and not realizing it. Got to work out why the need to do that. Because I had the opportunity, or maybe like the devil card, it was status and ambition, materialism. Maybe we've got a history from the past, like the Hermit earlier on. Maybe we don't stop enough to actually look at the perspective, as I've discussed with the Hanged Man. Look at your astrological sign. We talked about the body parts. Interesting. I'm a Cancerian. Guess what? All my surgeries have been stomach. That tells you something, doesn't it? Yeah. Hernias and stomach ulcers and, yeah, even at school. So stressed out with my exams. Yeah. Tummy problems and internal bleeding. Can you believe that at the age of 60? Yeah, I did turn my life around and went, that's enough. Not getting in that state again. But it's interesting. I know there was another body part and didn't affect me there. But yeah, put things together. Putting the piece of the puzzle together will help you become a nice reader for yourself and for others. It'll also make you that you're sought after professionally. Don't forget, you can earn an income and be your own boss, as in however you want to do it. All right? But this is a place where you can keep adding and growing in your skill with tarot. And combine it with astrology, numerology, the planets, the body parts. It's all very interesting. All right. So until next time, I will see you on Thursday for the 10 of Wands. Don't miss out. It's a tutorial. Will be jam-packed as usual. And if you didn't see where to find my courses, I'll play you out with that. And yes, I look forward to your company on Thursday. Until then, take care, everybody. Bye for now.